Sorry about that, my friends. Didn't have the camera screen up and running properly. I apologize about that. Hopefully you were still able to hear me. Okay, um, so I was saying that you can ask the person, find out if what their view is uh, on the topic that you brought up, and then after you find out their view, what was it that you were saying? How they why are you pushing your beliefs on me? There you go. Because so let's follow along with that. Because here it says, uh, in the church, haven't you ever? No, 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 no. Sorry. Um, you Christians stop need to push your beliefs on me. Right. So you said, why are you pushing your beliefs on me? Yeah. So that's good. Now he's stuck. Scratching his head right now. Um, and then say now this one right here, this the other point. Keep your religion in the church. What do you mean by keep my religion in the church? So you want clarification on that, you know? And um, what do you mean by separation of church and state? Because those two would kind of go together. Uh, and then after he does that, then you would want to go further and say, well, how did you come to that conclusion? So you're drawing out what he's talking about. How did he come to that conclusion to figure out the information where he got that at, or if it's just a personal assertion? Um, and then you can talk about everyone has a phone, everyone can go to Google, and you can say, can you show me where in the Constitution that it says separation of church and state? And then if you can't, then you could say, would you like to, excuse me, would you like to know where separation of church and state uh, is? And if they say yes, then you can talk about John Adams wrote a letter stating that the state uh, shouldn't be involved in the church, but to um, get more information on that particular topic is something good to do. Okay, so there was a third topic. Um, wait. Oh, yeah. You Christians are so intolerant. Okay. Uh, Tolerance has changed. Usually, tolerance means uh, I may not agree with someone's worldview, so I tolerate them. You know, I respect them. So that's what tolerance is. I can tolerate whatever they believe, but I still treat them with respect. Nowadays, tolerance is what they call postmodern tolerance. That means that uh, basically it's based off emotions. So uh, if I if I don't believe in their idea of what their worldview is, then um, I'm wrong, and therefore I'm intolerant because I don't believe in their idea. Yeah. And so if I'm tolerant, or if I have tolerance, I have tolerance is because I accept their worldview. That's not what tolerance is. Again, tolerance is when I don't accept someone's worldview, but I just deal with it and say, okay, you're still a human being created in God's eyes. I respect you. I just don't agree with you. That's what tolerance is. Their tolerance is uh, you have to accept my worldview. And when you do that, you're having tolerance. And if you don't accept it, you're wrong and you're being intolerant. That's the new tolerance, intolerance. And so I was talking to someone one time and I said, why is it that when you uh, say I'm intolerant, uh, that you're right, but when wait, why do you say? I haven't done this in a while. Why do you say when you're tolerant, you're right, but when I'm tolerant, I'm wrong? Basically, what it is if if I'm if I'm tolerant and I accept someone's worldview, I'm right. But if I don't accept their worldview, I'm wrong. And if they don't accept my worldview, they're right.
That's confusing.
Yeah. See, I have to accept their worldview because they're right. It doesn't matter. It's because it's just their worldview.
Is it okay to say, I accept your view? I don't agree with that. But if you can go a little bit deeper in explaining what you are trying to say here, um, so I can understand, would that be?
Yeah, that's the right way is asking questions like that. Say, you know, let them know. Say, hey, I respect you, and I respect your that you have a view, and you have that right to have that view. Uh, but I also have a view as well. And I would like it that you would have the same respect for me. I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me, and that's okay. But we can still respect one another. Yeah. So, yeah,
Right.
exactly. But I'm still gonna look at more on that tolerance and tolerance. It's it's mind-boggling,
Yeah,
but
it is.
it's called postmodern intolerance. So, anyways, we'll move on. Um, okay, let's see. Okay, we're going to go to an interactive study here. Okay, so we're going to consider some statements here. So here's a assertion. The only rational the only rational explanation for how we got here is evolution. You can believe in creation if you want, but that's all based on your faith in the Bible. A fetus doesn't have self awareness, so it is not a person. Okay, hold on. Those are two different ones. So let's stick with the first one. The only rational explanation for how we got here is evolution. You can believe in creation if you want, but that's all based on your faith in the Bible. Okay, so he has 2 points here. All right.
But isn't evolution a theory?
Well, there's two parts of evolution. You have microevolution and macroevolution. And see, this is a good thing where you need to study. Remember, I talked about things you want to be sharpened on, knowledge, uh, and mannerism and communication and stuff like that. So with evolution, microevolution are things that are testable and observable, things that can adapt to their environment. Like there was a group of lizards that would travel from one climate to another, and over a period of time, their skin would change due to the climate for survival reasons. And that's microevolution, and that's testable and observable. Macroevolution is uh, one species evolving into another species. And they use something called the scientific method to uh, test different things to see if it's true. It's and so there's no testable, and observable um, proof of actually seeing an ape transitioning into a human being. No one's ever done that. I've asked a professor who is an evolution behavioral psychologist who's into evolution, and he couldn't. He says no, I can't give you any proof. In the way you're asking, there is no evidence. No one's ever seen anything evolve from one species to another. So uh, the so here again, the only rational explanation for how we got here is evolution. Uh, so you would say, what do you mean by evolution? Because you want to know exactly what they mean. You want to know, do they mean microevolution? Do they mean macroevolution? What they try to do is they try to combine the two together. They don't want to um, they don't like to divide it because it'll mess up what they believe, you know. So you need to define it, and once you define it, then you can start showing the flaws in what they believe with a loving, non-offensive way. And at least 6 questions, asking questions to get clarification. Now, here's the other point. And also saying, how did you come to that conclusion? You want to know what evidence it's based on, or book, or people they talk to. And most of the time, people are they just make assertions. Now, the other
But there
point,
is no evidence.
there's no concrete evidence of actually seeing any ape transitioning into a human. They have fossils, um, and they try to use fossils to show that you know apes transitioning into humans. They have we have 96% similar chromosomes like apes do. Apes have 96% similar chromosomes to us. But I mean, if you uh, look at the ape, I mean, yeah, they got fingers, they got toes, they got arms, but just because they have that, that's a partial truth, because we're similar. Just because you're similar doesn't mean you're from that species, you know. Uh, God creates a lot of different types of species, but you can't link two different species if you don't have any testable, observable information of seeing something actually transition like that, you know. And actually, mice have more similar chromosomes to us than apes do. That's why they do scientific experiments on mice before they do uh, certain things on us. Yeah, it's interesting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So if anything, I would say if evolution was true, I probably evolved from a mouse. Yeah. Uh, okay. Let's see. Okay, so the other point, you can believe in creation if you want, but that's all based on your faith in the Bible. Um, okay, so it's kind of actually two different things. You can believe on creation if you want. So, what would you say there? You want to get some clarification on it.
Right.
So you would say what what do you mean by creation?
Okay.
Okay. And then after he explains it, you can say either where did you hear that or how did you come to that conclusion?
Okay. And
Or what does creation mean to you? You know, different ways of doing that. Now, the other thing is, but that's all based on your faith in the Bible. Um, and then you can also try to figure out what does he mean by faith. You know, you want to understand where he's coming from. Maybe he has some church background, you know, and you can find that out. So you can ask questions about what do you mean by faith? Are
Okay.
you familiar with the Bible?
Oh, okay.
You know, okay. So here's another one. A fetus doesn't have self awareness. Fetus doesn't have self awareness, so it's not a person. You think that a blob of cells is more important than real people who are really here. That's a religious claim you accept without proof. That's a lot.
Say
So
that again.
I am, of course, I am, because we're going to break this down, okay? A fetus doesn't have self awareness. Okay, self awareness. Like we have awareness of our environment.
Yeah.
Okay. So, um, we gotta, if we're not familiar with the fetus, we gotta ask him questions because he may not even know what it, or she might not know what a fetus is, you know? So let's say we don't even know anything about a fetus.
Okay.
You could say, you know, that's interesting that you say that. And if you don't feel comfortable having that conversation because you're not knowledgeable enough, you say, you know, I would like to really answer that question right now. Can you let me think on this? Um, and I can give you a better answer another time. I'm not dodging you, I promise. But this is really a good point of view that you have. And I would like to get back with you on this. Then what you would do is you would go and research what a fetus is, how old the fetus is, uh, and stuff like that. Um,
I would ask something like, well, then why does the fetus move once it's uncomfortable?
yeah,
Why?
well, that's what I mean. So if you have an idea of a fetus, if you have some knowledge of it, then you start asking questions. So um, then, if it doesn't have self awareness, say ask him. Say the last part, self awareness. Find out what he means by that.
Yeah.
Okay, because self awareness is like like a verb, you know. So you want to know what he means, get clarification, and then the statement that you made, put it in a question. So how would you say that as a question? You just told me that a fetus moves.
Hmm.
Right, exactly. So that's a statement. How would you say that as a question? You could say, if,
Why does the fetus move?
there you
If
go. Why does the fetus move if,
I eat chili, uh, drink coffee,
there,
or
there you go. Why does the fetus move if I eat chili or coffee?
yeah, or just move in general because a fetus moves.
Okay. So a fetus is sensitive to our diet.
Right.
Okay. So then you can say that. You can say, as a mother, I know when I ate something, um, it would affect my baby that was inside me. So my question for you is, why would the fetus move inside me when I would eat chili? Yeah. Um, and then ask him, wouldn't don't you think that it would be self-aware? You know, so you're on the right track. You really are. It's just what you're doing is with your question, you're going in more detail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Just like when someone makes a statement and they go in more detail,
Mm-hmm.
like when you say, "What do you mean by that?" and then they go in more detail with their statement
Right.
because you want more information from them.
Uh-huh.
What you're doing is instead of giving them a statement, right, giving them more detail, you're actually giving them a question, answering them in more detail.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, good. Good job. I'm learning something from you. Okay. You think that blob of cells is more important than real people who are already here? Uh, so, um, a context of asking the first Columbo question could be, uh, let's look at this question again. You think that a blob of cells is more important than real people who are already here? Um, I guess you could either say, "Weren't you once a blob of cells?
Yeah.
Didn't your mom feel that you were important?
Exactly.
And if you were important, she made sure she tried to take care of you and eat properly and get rest, right?
Right.
So maybe she wasn't, maybe you weren't just a blob of cells to her. What,
And to continue the life cycle, or however they say that, the cycle of life, something like that. Wouldn't you need to have people so that you can teach them what the next generation needs to learn to continue taking care of the earth, educating people, whatever? Wouldn't you need that fetus to continue uh, grow because of that? Because everyone dies. So don't you think it's important that that blob continue to grow so that it can um, how am I trying to say this?
okay, take your time.
Continue the cycle of life.
Continue the cycle of life. Right.
Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it does. It does. And say, and you can even say, you look like you turned into a pretty good blob of cells. you know,
Yeah.
I'm sure your mom is very happy of the blob that you are. Just joking with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when in this situation, if you make it more personable, since it has to do with a baby and emotional connection to
Uh-huh.
a mom, because you already made an emotional connection with a mom already.
I know I
See,
did.
see how you did that? And since you did that, then you can connect it with him or her and their mom, because you already started that.
Yeah.
You already started that emotional connection.
Right.
So um, then you transfer it to him and his mom, and how, and then he's going to have thinking about maybe his parents and how it made him feel, or oh wow, my mom took care of me, or my sister took care of me, or whoever the guardian was.
Right.
So
Ah, okay.
see, so you're right. You're right on it. Okay,
Okay.
but remember, if you don't know something, go back, research it.
Right.
So okay, um, here it says that's a religious claim you accept without proof. Well, you know what? We don't need to worry about that. You already You already showed it from a personal level. Um, but you could say during the conversation, you can say, how is that a religious claim? Add that into your conversation,
Okay.
you know, or
What do you mean by religious? How did you come to that conclusion? Just
try different ways of run it through your head. But you're right on that one. Okay, it's pretty fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay. The Gospels are a bunch of stories. Oh, I got to sneeze. I hate sneezing. Okay. The Gospels are a bunch of stories created by early Christians to get other people to join their religion. That's one. Sorry. Okay. The Gospels are a bunch of stories created by Christians to get other people to join their religion. You fundamentalists just have blind faith in your Bible stories. Now consider the following questions, or if you're in a group, discuss them with another member. Okay. How do these statements affect your confidence? So how do these statements affect your confidence?
Well, it kind of got me mad.
Okay, kind of got you mad. Yeah. Okay. Remember we talked about if you get mad,
I know.
you lose.
Yes.
If they get mad, you lose. Okay. Other question. Would you shy away from answering a critic who says these things? And
No.
why? No, you wouldn't.
No.
Okay, that's good. What do you think the phrase burden of proof means? Okay, so
Explain that.
burden of proof is like if you make a statement, right? Like this statement right here, Gospels are a bunch of stories created by early Christians to get other people to join the religion. You made that claim. Whose responsibility is it to give evidence for that claim? Me or you? You, because you made the statement.
Okay.
Okay, so burden is it's your burden. It's something that you're carrying on your shoulders. It's your responsibility.
Right.
So that's your burden, not mine. It's yours because you made the claim.
Right.
Whoever makes the claim is responsible to support their claim. So that's what your burden is. It's your responsibility to support what you say.
I see.
And that's why I put questions out to challenge you and say, okay, explain yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why it's like I put myself in the driver's seat. I take away the anxiety off of me and put it on you in a loving, non-offensive way.
Yeah.
Even though I'm okay. All
Just
right.
gotta control myself. Huh?
Yeah. Okay. Who shoulders the burden of proof? Oh, we already did that. The burden of proof is the responsibility someone has to defend or give evidence for his view. The, we already talked about that. The burden of proof has one cardinal rule. Whoever makes a claim bears the burden. We just talked about that.
Yes.
Don't allow yourself to be thrust into a defensive position when the other person is making the claim. So if someone's making that claim, don't get angry.
Yeah.
Don't get defensive because it'll ruin your chance
out of
of
line, yeah.
gardening. Because you got to remember, there's two types of sowers. Okay, there's two types of gardeners. There's a sower and a reaper. The reaper reaps the fruits of the harvest.
Right.
what we're doing here is we're gardeners, okay?
Planting the seeds.
And we're planting the seeds. Now, if someone comes in our garden and starts reaping our garden, you know, we're obviously not going to say, "Hey, get out of our garden," you know.
And ask why.
No, no, we're gonna be like, "Hey, welcome," you know, come and reap of God's garden. You know, we're sowing seed here, and then sometimes we might have the opportunity to be the reaper of the fruits that we sowed.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously, it's not our works, but it's the works that God gave us.
Mhm.
So that's what we're doing. We're planting seeds. And he who plants and he who reaps will both get equal rewards. And so it's not always about just sharing the gospel.
Right.
You know, nowadays with society, you have to tear down. I think it's 2 Corinthians 10, 3 through 9, maybe. It talks about tearing down strongholds and obstacles. And a lot of people have strongholds and obstacles, and that's why you ask questions. You want to figure out what these obstacles are. And we saw a lot of obstacles. We've been reading some practice ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so um, we'll do one. Well, we'll just do this. We'll stop right here. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Here's the rule: no more free rides for non-believers. It's time for Christians' responsibility to refute even a story challenger who can spin a claim and manufacture it. When your friend advances an opposing view, it's her job to defend it. Steer the burden of proof back on her shoulders where it belongs. Um, often, challenge often challenges to Christianity thrive through uh, vague generalities, forcing made slogans. So people will sometimes just spew things they've heard, phrases, um, uh, you know, uh, the Bible was just written by man, you know, it wasn't inspired by God. So they don't even know what they're saying.
Right.
You know what I mean? They just heard someone else say that. So then that's when you question them. And sometimes they don't know what to say because it's just a slogan they heard.
Right.
And a lot of people just spew stuff out like that. And it's like, uh, you know, and there's a percentage of people like that. But then there also is a percentage of people that really know what they're talking about. And that's why these questions really help. Get clarification, and you want to find out what the flaws are and help them see those flaws, like what we were doing earlier with some of these questions. Okay. Okay, it says right here. Okay. Let's watch the rule in action. The following dialogue occurred on a secular talk show of Greg Kokel's in Los Angeles. When a caller disagreed with my point of view that the Big Bang Theory provided evidence for God, not against him, I argued that, simply put, a Big Bang needs a Big Banger. The caller said, "Well, I don't think it does because you could start with a base of nothing, and you could say that there was nothing but an infinite continuous moment until eventually that insignificant thing happened." So it's basically saying that there was a point of nothing in the beginning, and all of a sudden something happened by itself. So no intelligent God intervened. It just happened by itself. All we needed was a tiny imperfection in a perfect nothingness, and the imperfection could then expand and become uh, um, it can expand and become I'll just paraphrase it, the universe, the stars, the galaxies, and increasingly complex. And soon you would have a lot of different universes. Uh, Greg here says, I understand the story and I like the way you started. So here the guy just made a whole statement. Okay. And see, I like how Greg does this. I understand the story and I like how the way you started. You could say, and he's repeating it back, you could say that. Well, that's just what you've done. You just said it. You just told me a story. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to demonstrate it. It's reasonable given evidence. The evidence shows the universe has a beginning. Now we have to explain how the beginning came to be. You can't explain it by natural law because that was the beginning of natural law. Um, this is a, a good call because it illustrates something. It shows something. The tendency of people, the habit of people who don't like a point of view to tell a story to explain it anyway. But it's just a fairy tale. Once upon a time there was nothing, and then something came out of nothing. It may be very easy for him to believe, but a story is not evident. So he's basically pointing out the flaw in his story. He's,
Right.
he's saying that, it's a great story, but, you know, there, there's no evidence behind what you're saying.
Right.
And see,
And can he prove something that he's heard from somebody else just because they said doesn't mean it's true? Right?
right. And see, there is no, you have different laws in the universe, and none of those laws came into effect until after the universe came into existence. And that's another thing we'll study on and learn about the different laws. So that's a good thing to learn on.
Yeah.
And there was something. Do you remember I told you what the law of non-contradiction is? The law of non-contradiction is a ball cannot be blue and not blue at the same time.
Say that again?
A ball, it's an analogy. A ball can not be a ball cannot be blue and not blue at the same time. So I got a ball in my hand. It's blue and it's always going to be blue. But it can't be blue and not blue at the same time.
Oh, okay.
In other words, it can't be blue and red at the same time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So two polar opposites at the same
And
time.
what is that called?
Law of non-contradiction. So when you listen to what someone's saying, and if they're saying two different things, like here's another example. I can't speak a word of English. What did I just do?
Yeah.
See? That's a law of non-contradiction. I just spoke English.
Right.
Yeah. I can't speak more than 5 sentences, or more than 5 words.
Oh.
I spoke more than 5 words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so this is it right here. Let's see. Here's the takeaway. Telling a story is one thing, but giving evidence and reasons for it is another.
Yes.
These tales have uh, uh, rhetorical power. and are effective to to this psychology of your confidence in what you believe. But there's nothing more. They're nothing more than stories until they put they're put to the test. It's the other person's job to defend his or her own uh, view first. It is not our job to refute it. So if we refute it, then we're going to go into statement mode, trying to disprove it.
Right.
So we ask questions to help them see their view. If we see the flaws, if there's a couple things we saw flaws in.
Yeah.
Okay. And when they see the flaws, they'll exploit their own worldview and see that it doesn't work.
Right.
And then they'll be like, oh, light bulb. You know what I mean? Okay, let's close in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this time where we can come together and study and learn about apologetics and how to, in a disarming, loving way, just witness to people and learn how to garden and plant a seed, and just so that we can be able to prepare the hearts for someone for the next person, so that the fruit can develop in their heart and they can be ready for the harvest with the right person that you put in their path. And just use us in a mighty way and use us as a mouthpiece, and just make our hearts pure, make our hearts clean. And we just love you and praise you for all that you do. All that you do. In Jesus' name, amen.